Okay, so question 2 from the electronic structure section. It's asking us to look at this electronic structure representation for chlorine and give the electronic structure of chlorine in numerical form. So obviously the kind of shorthand version. And what we would do is count up the numbers of electrons in each of the shells, starting with the innermost one. So for the first shell, there would be 2 electrons. There's then 8 electrons in the second shell, and then there are 7 electrons in the third shell. So that gives us a 2, 8, 7 species for chlorine. It then asks us to draw the electronic structure for sulfur. Now we need a periodic table for this, but sulfur is 3216 on its electronic numbers. So 32 mass number and a 16 atomic number. The 16 obviously tells us the number of protons, and coincidentally then tells us the number of electrons. So we again start in the middle shell and fill up 16 electrons worth of crosses. So we put 2 in the first shell. We can only put 2 in the first shell. We then have to fill subsequent shells outwards from there. Now the second shell can contain 8, so we've got 14 electrons left, which means we can completely fill this second shell. That gives us 10 electrons being used, which gives us 6 left. So obviously the third shell can contain 8, so this one's not going to be a filled shell. So we fill up the 6 electrons and we end up with a 2, 8, 6 type diagram for sulfur. Now, a couple of things when we draw the diagrams. There's no hard and fast rule for this, but as you'll notice, I've drawn my electrons kind of paired. It's not right and it's not wrong to do it like that, but this is a personal thing. I just find it easier to count the numbers of electrons. So you can see that there's, in this second shell, for example, you can see that there's 1 pair, 2 pairs, 3 pairs, 4 pairs. So you know that you've got the 8, and then you can go into the next shell. So like I say, it just makes the diagram, in my opinion, just a little bit clearer to see. But you can draw them all in one line around the outside if you want, with no spacing. But again, it's up to you. However you want to organise your answer is yours. And then to the final question is asking us then to go essentially backwards from the previous questions, is taking us to look at an electronic structure. So if we again quickly have a count, this time we've got a 2, 8, 5 species, and we know that because electronic configurations build upon each other, that we know this is 5 electrons in the third shell. This one before was 6 electrons before, and then chlorine was 7 electrons. We know that this is the element before sulfur. Again, with the periodic table, it's phosphorus, and we would have also known that phosphorus would have had a 15 atomic number because of the presence of 15 electrons, and prior to that, obviously, 15 protons as a result of that number.